All right, so let's take a look. These are just how you try out the various sounds over here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to just click and drag some of these sounds into our audio tracks, and then we can start to manipulate those. So let me go back to maybe to the urban. Let's just try out some of these. For example, if I take, maybe just take this bossa chord for a moment. And so just click and drag. Click and drag. And I'm going to turn off the auto audition at this point so we can hear them over here in the sound file. So here again, you can drag them around, whatever audio file you want. Remember, I'm in the arrow tool here, so I can drag it wherever I want with that tool. So I'll put it at the beginning. Down here we have our transport, standard transport commands. This rewinds back to the beginning. This is an incremental rewind. A click track, if we want to hear a little metronome going along, we can set the tempo for that here. We are at 90 beats, so we might just leave that 90 if we wanted to hear a click track. That's the record button and the play button, and then fast forward, and then we can also set a loop here. So if we wanted to just play back a certain section of a file, we can set the loop on, and then up here you'll see a little yellow area. If I turn this on, and then you'll see this yellow area highlight, and then we can move that around the section and then come to the end of it, and you can stretch it out. So if I wanted to hear just the loop, playback loop of this first 5 measures here, then I could set that there. If I turn that off, then we don't hear the loop. So let's hear a little bit about, and hold on, this is the volume, which we can control the volume for this particular track. We also have the pan, so you can pan left or right on this. We can add some effects, which we'll go back and explore effects in this just a second. And we can solo. Solo will allow us to hear this track only and no other tracks. It mutes the other tracks. And when we turn this on, this does just the opposite. It mutes this track and allows us to hear all the other tracks that may have sound on them. Then here we have automation. Right now we're looking at the audio file itself. Remember, we do have a zoom command here. We can zoom out or zoom in for further detail. And on this display is off right at the moment, but if I wanted to change the volume of this, remember this is a sort of preset volume where we can do the whole change here, but if I want to just click in here, and each click point with my mouse will produce another automation change. So if I want to have the volume change up or down, I can automate that through here. So I can have the piece go to silence before I get to the end of the file if I like. And then once you put those in there, you can click and drag them and move them around as you want to make changes with that. So that's on volume. So let me just pull this back up to close to where it was so we don't have too much change here. And then you can also do panning also. So I could have a constant panning change that I could have the piece where it starts out in the left channel and goes to the right channel and back throughout the composition. So I can do 2 different kind of changes there, or I can turn the display off. All right, so that's over here. Let's listen to this file just for a second, do a rewind. So you can see there's a chord progression going on there in D major, and we have some other ones that are in the bossa area. Let's see what they sound like if I just drag some more of these into other tracks. So let's try adding the bass sample in here and get this lined up at the beginning. And let's hear, if I want to hear this by itself, I turn on the solo and hit the rewind there. My cursor, you can see where the tempo marking is here, but if I want to hit the rewind, I'm going to turn off the loop for a second. All right, so we're here just repeating bass line. And if I turn that solo off and rewind, then you can hear that the chord progression is going down at the same rate on that. So the bass, these are all parts that are part of the same composition area. Let's see what if we had the bossa piano to our group now. Make sure, I mean here I'm making sure I push them all the way to the beginning so they line up with the right rhythmic pulse here. And rewind and hear what this sounds like. All right, so we're adding to the piano to that. Continuing on, let's see what the vibes sound like in this section. I didn't really hear the, let me hear what the vibes sound like by themselves in this section. Okay, so just a simple note there. I may want to pull down the volume of some of these other files if I can't hear that, maybe a little bit too loud on these other ones. If I want to hear the vibes, we could pull it up maybe just a little bit more. And let's rewind. Okay, so you can then balance that and mix it up however you want with that. All right, so we have those, and I'm just going to go up here and just see what some of these other sounds sound like. For example, if I take the beat voice, maybe add it into channel 5 for a second. Let's hear what this sounds like by itself. Now remember, all these are at 90 beats, so they should line up rhythmically. Let me solo this for a second to see what it sounds like. Hit rewind. All right, so it's just got a drum beat in that with a little bit of a vocalization toward the end of the file. So I could drag that in several times here rather than paste it for a second and make sure they align. And so now let's hear what it sounds like from the beginning. All right, so let's go back now and add a loop to this, maybe all the way to the 5th measure here. So you see that when I turn on the loop button down here, I get the little loop screen up here. Let's put it from the beginning, then go to the end of that and drag it to measure 5. And now we can rewind, and it will, when it gets to this point, it'll loop back to the beginning of that file. So that's an easy way to sort of have it make a background for you that you can, if you want to have the loop longer so you can have some variance on that, you can do that as well. All right, so this is how you work with audio files. Anything that has a dot wave over here will allow us to drag things into this.
The preceding program is copyrighted by Emory University.